Hey, just a heads up that the following content may be disturbing or triggering for some listeners and is not appropriate for children. Please take care of yourself and others who may be listening with you. Can you tell me what you call the kids who you've cared for over the years?
We feel that the children that we receive coming into our home are bonuses. So we call them bonus babies.
I love that. Welcome to the Bonus Babies podcast, a show that has no easy answers, only hard questions. This is your host, Jayne Amelia Larson, and I'm a CASA volunteer, a court-appointed special advocate for youth in foster care. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. In the same way a CASA works, I explore all things in the foster care maze by talking to kids, parents, caregivers, attorneys, social workers, therapists, anybody and everybody who will speak to me to keep the conversation open and the information flowing about all things CASA. Hey everyone, welcome to Bonus Babies. In this podcast, I track my experience learning about and navigating through the foster care system, not as someone who has a lived foster care experience, but through the unique lens of a CASA volunteer, the eyes and ears of the court, whose job it is to seek out as much information as possible about the child to whom they're assigned, the child's case, and the child's family. The CASA acts as the child's voice and is her advocate, her voice in court. Los Angeles, where I'm recording, has 35,000 kids in the foster care system and only 1,200 CASAs, so do the math. There are not enough of us. Once in the system, a child's team of employed, paid caregivers can often number into the hundreds, but the CASA is a volunteer position. That is what makes the role unique. In Ashley Road Curtier's best-selling memoir, 3 Little Words, she shares a list of the people responsible for her case. 73 child welfare administrators, 44 child welfare caseworkers, 19 foster parents, 23 attorneys, 17 psychologists, psychiatrists, and therapists, 5 guardian ad litem staff, 4 judges, 4 court personnel, 3 abuse registry workers, 2 primary caseworkers, and 1 guardian ad litem, which we call a CASA in California, who is the only person not paid on Ashley's list. This very fact is what separates the CASA from everyone else. Today, 10 out of every 1,000 children are in foster care. The U.S. government paid an estimated $33 billion in state and federal assistance for child welfare, foster care, and related services last year, and more will be spent this year. And yet still, we are failing them. The U.S. now has 650,000 children in foster care, roughly equal to the population of Baltimore, in every state, in almost every community, and represented in all walks of life. Child endangerment and welfare issues arise in families of every race, ethnicity, culture, and age group, and many, if not most, of those kids in foster care are not cared for, and not cared for well, not in the way that they should be, and that they deserve to be. This has to change. I hope that hearing about these kids and from these kids will help to do that, to give them a forum to help others understand what it's like to have a lived foster care experience by hearing the compelling stories of the children who have lived it. I will also be talking to the many adults who look after kids in care, and my first guest is a very special foster parent, Mrs. Dorrie Woods. Hi, I'm here with Dorrie Woods. Hi, Dorrie.
Hi, sweetie.
So I want to thank you for recording again, and I want people to know that we actually already did a recording session, but we had to record at a different place than Dorrie's home because her home is filled with kids and a lot of noise. Isn't that what was going on?
Laughter and fun and loving. Yes, it is all the time.
Yes. And I know Dorrie from Peace for Kids, where I volunteer, and she volunteers on Saturdays, peaceforkids.org. And Dorrie's also a foster mom. So can you tell me what you call the kids who you've cared for over the years?
We call them our bonus babies.
Right. And why do you call them bonus babies?
We feel that the children that we receive coming into our home are bonuses. So we call them bonus babies.
That's a really nice idea. So, can you tell me how you got involved with caring for your bonus babies? How'd you become a foster mom?
A friend of mine was interested in becoming a foster parent. I had never even heard of the term, nor was I familiar with it, and she wanted me to go with her to an orientation. Well, here 30 odd years later, she never became a foster parent, and I did because I got hooked on the idea of having room and having a place in our hearts to care for the children.
And how many years have you been fostering, and how many kids have you fostered?
We've been fostering about 30, 31 years, and we've fostered well over 26 children.
My goodness. Wow. And your husband's involved in this. Or are you doing it alone?
Very much so. He's my rock. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And what's your nickname for him?
Negative Ned.
How did you talk to him about potentially becoming a foster parent?
Well, I presented the ideas that were broached in the orientation, and I just felt I couldn't do it alone and wouldn't do it alone. And if Negative Ned would say yes, then I would go forward. And he said yes. And much to my surprise and pleasure, he said yes. So here we are 30 years later.
Wow, it's just amazing. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
It is.
And the way that you do it, the way I've seen you operating is with a tremendous amount of grace and goodwill and good humor. It can't be like that all the time, or is it?
I would say pretty much what you see is what you get. Yes.
Wow. Okay, so I remember I was working the front desk one day at Peace for Kids, and I had to go and collect one of your charges. He was maybe about 9 at the time. And he's a roughhouser and
Yes.
filled with energy. You call him, I remember one time he was just racing around like crazy. And you said, yes, he's a curious child. Do you remember that?
Yes, he is. He is. He's very curious.
Some people would call him a troublemaker, but you call him curious.
Hmm. Because we're too quick to put negative labels on people.
Yeah.
And so we should call things that are not as though they are.
Hmm.
We call forth the future, that he is curious and not mischievous.
Right. And that same day, I was chasing him all day long, and it was time for him to go home. He didn't want to go home, so he was hiding. And I found him, but he wouldn't come with me. So I had to go get you to go and corral him. And I said to you, good luck with that. And you said, I don't need luck.
I remember that day.
Why is it that you don't need luck?
Because I don't wait to get in public and I don't wait for situations to come up on me before I deal with it. I constantly am educating, talking, encouraging at home so that when we do get in public, that it's just a smooth, easy transition.
Right. And your career was as an educator, right?
Yes,
Mm-hmm. And so you worked with all ages of kids as a teacher, administrator, what?
both. I have worked with all ages of children. I have been a teacher, classroom teacher, and also had the privilege of being an assistant principal in administrative staff.
And when you started thinking about taking kids into your home, you also have biological children. So how do they feel about that? How did you get them on board, or did you?
Yes, well, my husband is the baby of 8. He always wanted a lot of children. However, we really didn't have that conversation before we got married. Otherwise, I would have told him it's only 2. I'm good. So we've always been, even before we had our own biological children, our home was more or less a children's place because I love children. They just give me energy. They give me a reason for getting out of bed in the morning. And so it was an easy transition for them, for our biological children to have other children to come to live with us.
And what are some of the challenges that you faced? I mean, I imagine with so many kids, it isn't like each one was a piece of cake, right?
Each one was a piece of cake with different, I could say, with different calories in it.
Wow, okay.
Some of them were rich with calories, and some of them were not so rich in calories, but they still were a piece of cake. In that, I I had the idea of making a home a transitional home that a person could come there, get what they need, and move on.
Right. So, how do you think you're able to do that, Dorrie? What is it about you that enables you to do that? Like, I think about myself. I couldn't do that.
Because when I look in the mirror, I see a cracked pot. I know that I'm broken. I have all kind of cracks and blemishes and negative things about me. And even as a cracked pot, I want to have the light that's inside of me to shine to other people and to treat people with dignity and respect the way I want to be treated. So that's how I do it. How would I want to be talked to, even when I make mistakes and I make plenty of them? How would I want that to be communicated to me?
So, did you learn that at home as a child, or is that something that has developed and evolved as you've grown up?
The school of hard knocks taught me well.
Uh-huh. The School of Hard Knocks, right?
Yes,
And what does your faith have to do with all of that?
everything. God loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten son. And I have two children, and I would not want to give one for my best friend, let alone my enemy. So, with that being my guiding principle, it's a good standard for me to try to ascend to that level. To do what I try to do is put in front of me, what would Jesus do when I make just different decisions? How would God respond to this? And at the end of the day, I want to please my Father in heaven. I come as a servant, not to be served, but to serve others.
Right. And so, have you ever felt that you've failed at that?
Oh yes. Hmm, I have. I was reading that different inventors, say Edison, how many times did he try before he got that light bulb to come on, right? It wasn't the first time he pushed the button or whatever. Yes, I feel I'm human. That's the human side of me. But I pick myself up and try something different. What is it? It's ludicrous to try to do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. So we have to try different ways to get different results, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a smart thinking. And what would you say to people that are thinking about fostering kids?
It's scary to think about having a stranger in your home because you don't know their backstory, their history. However, it is so rewarding when you see it's just like looking at a plant and you've been watering it and taking care of it, and then one day you see that little green shoot come out. It's just like that. It's a very enriching experience to foster. However, it's best to foster when you have a support system because many of the children, well, I can say all of them, have a time of trauma that they have gone through, and some of them are still in that phase of going through trauma. And we need to be a support system for them.
Right. And so, have you ever? I've asked you this before, but I'm just trying to figure out what it is about you that makes you so special and so strong and so gracious. And you're saying you've learned how to be that way. And also because you're considering God as you're moving through this process.
Right. I don't want to cause anyone not to know the sweetness of the Lord that I serve because of my mistakes, my choices in life, that I'm not doing the right thing. I don't want to offend anyone or hurt anyone or turn them against the gospel because of my actions.
Mm-hmm. So, have any of the kids that you have fostered, have they identified as LGBTQA or anything like that, or transgender?
Not to me and not to my knowledge.
So they've never disclosed that to you?
No.
No, and how do you feel about kids that identify as LGBTQ? Or
Well, I go back to what I was saying earlier about the Lord. God gives us unconditional love. He loves us all regardless. So that's my pattern, my template that I follow. I love everybody, and my job is not to judge. The Bible tells us to judge ye not. That's God's job. My job is to give unconditional love.
so you don't judge those kids. You don't say they should be one way or the other.
No, no, not at all.
Right, and you also realize that often the church does do that.
The people in the church, yes. People are free to think their own way by their background and their experiences, but I also think that they're free to open and learn new things as well. And I'm hopeful that they don't get stuck on one thing without being open-minded to even think or consider another way.
And have there been instances for you or your husband, your family, when you have a child in your home, how have any of them changed your life or your lives?
Oh, yes, they change our life on a constant basis. Um, just last night, one of our boys, we were trying to teach him how to floss his teeth. Isn't it? I just think that's just the easiest thing in the world. I want him to floss his own teeth. So as an educator, I said, well, let me use all my resources. The dentist had talked to him about it and instructed him. Let's go on Google to look at it. Now let's practice. He had the dental floss at the top, and then he skipped about 5 teeth, and he was going back and forth like a saw. It was hilarious. So it changes my life like that. The things that we take so much for granted, little easy, simple things to us are monumental to some of the children. And then I'm thinking about God must have a party looking at us. But it's just so simple. It's just so simple. You can't do that. You can't floss your teeth. You can't just follow directions. So it makes me more humble to that situation.
Do you remember the day too at Peace for Kids? I decided one of the kids who's in your home, I figured out, maybe he was about 9 at the time, that he basically couldn't read.
No, he couldn't.
And I knew that you were working with him, but I actually talked to my mom about it, and she said, "Well, you have to help that child learn how to read." And I said, "I don't know how to do that." She said, "Well, figure it out." So I got some books. Somebody gave me some flashcards, and then I talked to him and I said, "I'll help you become a better reader, and you can help me become a better teacher." And he agreed. And I was all prepared. I'd done my homework, and then I had to chase him down repeatedly, and we never worked together. He did not want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He just was, I think we started like for 2 seconds, and then he just ran. And then from that moment on, he ran from me. He barely even says hello to me now. He just ran and ran. He ran every time he saw me. He ran the other direction. But what's happening with him now?
He's reading. He's actually reading. And he uses both methods. that he sounds out words, and then he recognizes sight words. He's 15 now, and he's reading at, I'd say, a kindergarten level, kindergarten second semester level.
But the fact that he's improved at all is just because of the attention that you've paid, right?
Yes, and I can't just say me, but that my his support system. We all are in there together with the same mind and the same intentions.
How does he feel about the fact that he's beginning to learn how to read?
He's proud of himself. He's proud of himself.
Yeah, I bet that's pretty cool because when you work really hard to complete a task or to learn a new skill and then you feel you're doing it, that's a pretty nice feeling.
And it's very rewarding too. And he would run away from us with excuses. And, well, I need to do this and I need to do that. I said, well, go on, just do whatever you have to do, and we'll just wait. Whenever you finish doing all of that, the books will still be here. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the time, and that's what we did do.
So, do you feel like you can continue doing this? Like you're just going to keep on taking in kids till
Oh, yes.
really?
Yes, I do. I do feel that way. The kids are my lifeline. So we enjoy each other. I enjoy them, they enjoy me, and it makes it happen. And then it takes the stress off my husband that he doesn't have to entertain me.
Because the kids are doing it. And you learn from the kids, don't you?
Oh, yes. Like I was telling you that example of the floss. Certain things don't come easy for me, but that doesn't mean that I just throw in the towel and give up.
Right. And why do you volunteer at Peace for Kids in addition to the fostering? Why is it that you're there so often?
Because one of the children that we had the pleasure of fostering already had a relationship with Peace for Kids. And I saw the way that Peace for Kids would interact with the children. And it was the same values that I have, and that they treated the children as individuals and with respect and support, and they didn't rush them. That's one thing I learned, one of the many things I've learned, that you don't rush old people and kids. They have their own agenda. And once I retired from work, I had the opportunity to volunteer, and I enjoy the times that I have to volunteer with Peace for Kids.
Will you tell me also about the work that you do where you arrange travel for the kids that are challenged? Of course, I'm sure that's changed a little bit during COVID,
Right.
but in the past and what you hope it's going to be in the future?
Yes, we have an organization. It's called Travel for Me, and it's designed for individuals with special needs, Down syndromes, intellectual disabilities, and such. And we go on different trips. Some of them are day trips and some of them are multi-day trips. We'll go to Disneyland, Knoxbury Farm, places like that. We've gone to Hawaii, um, Nevada, and places like that for our multi-day trips. And these trips are escorted by people on my staff to help special needs individuals to access areas that their peers take for granted.
Right, because normally a kid with special needs doesn't get a chance to go to Disneyland or get on a plane and go to Hawaii. Those
Right.
opportunities don't exist.
They don't exist. And then many times the people with special needs are looked at as a group rather than an individual. Okay, everybody gets hamburgers, everybody goes over here. But with our organization, Travel for Me, we designed a program that they can pick and choose a la carte what they want. Do you want to go over here and eat? Do you want to go here? And we have a list of places that we go from January through December. So they can pick and choose what they want, where they want to go, what they want to eat, and what they want to do, because they have their own travel aid there with them to escort them and to help them to access different venues that we attend.
Right, so what I'm hearing is that those opportunities that you're creating for those kids, they actually mimic the way you work with your own children, which is that you see them as individuals.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, with their own desires and needs and wants.
exactly. And I'm a person, I get bored easily. I like options. Give me some options, something that I want to do. You might want pizza. Might want something else. Let me have my own choice. I might want pizza, but at least give me a choice.
Right. And what do you think that choice gives to the kids? What do you think it does?
Power.
Gives them power, right?
It gives them power, and it also, I think, validates them that I can make a decision. What I say is important. That you're listening to me, you hear me.
That's so beautiful. Story. I find it so moving what you're saying because, of course, what happens with little kids, I think, in particular, kids in the system, they don't feel they have any power. They don't feel they have any say. They have all these adults telling them what to do, right?
Yes, they do.
And you're giving kids a chance to say, "This is what I want."
This is what I want. My way is not. This is the idea that I have. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. How can we make this happen? And that's what I've always, from being a parent to the classroom and back home again and on the travel for me, I always involve, what do you think? Because I don't have the best ideas. I have an idea, but your idea might be better than mine. Let's try it out. Let's see what it is. There is success, more success in numbers. We're supposed to seek counsel from other people anyway. I don't have all the answers, but I know how to ask other people for their opinion. And if we fail, we fail. But we learn from that, pick ourselves up, and go to the next level.
Right. And you think the failure actually gives confidence too, right?
Yes, I do. Somebody falls. Why did you fall? Because the chair was in the way. What are you going to do the next time? How can we avoid that? Or did you like falling? Do you want to fall again? What are we going to do to fix that problem? And so I try to also support independent thinkers.
Right. And how do you handle the kids that come to you that are very, very deeply traumatized? Do you handle them differently?
I exercise more patience with them because I feel that everybody is a gift and they have a gift inside of them. Some of their gifts take a little bit longer to open than others. So we have to give them room, have to give them space in order to delve inside that gift, to open that gift.
Would you like it if more people like you were fostering kids, taking kids into their homes?
I would, but I'm not so much concerned with the number of people, but the quality of the people. Because some people are just, I'm just doing this, but you have to have a heart to do it. What reason is it that you would want to foster? Is it to make yourself feel good? Or is it that you genuinely want to help someone? And you have to have the patience, you have to have a support system, you have to have the mind, you have to be open, you have to be flexible. Because when you're not flexible, you can crack like spaghetti. You just crack and you just break. But you want, but then why does spaghetti? Let me go here. Spaghetti is dry and it cracks real easily, right?
Yes.
But once you put it in the water and boil it, it doesn't break as easy, right?
All right.
So sometimes we have to get in the hot water in order to be flexible. That's what I say.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And did you have a happy childhood?
Very much so. Very happy.
Hmm.
Very happy childhood. teenage. I've had a very blessed, rich, fulfilling life. If I could change anything about my life, I would do it over again. That's what I would do it, be able to go through childhood and all, because I have had some wonderful experiences, and I want to emulate those experiences for other children. I want to make sure that they um, access all the modes of travel, from the car to the plane to the train to the cruises, everything. The world is ours to access, and so why not? So my children, all of us carry gold cards on Carnival because we've cruised so much. So the things that they see and they hear about, they can remember. Well, we've been here. We've been to Jamaica. We have passports. We've been to Hawaii. We've been on a cruise ship. We've dined. We know how to dress up, and we know how to utilize the manners and the um, things that we've learned at home. We can implement them when we go outside of our home.
What is the one thing that people would never guess about you unless you told them?
Are you talking about that I don't like asparagus?
It could be that. How come you don't like asparagus?
I've never eaten grass before, but I would think that it's like eating grass.
Okay, is there anything else that people would never know about you unless you told them?
There are things about me. I think I'm a very, well, I'm not a loner. I'm a people person. I like to have people around me. My husband and I were on vacation one time in Vegas, as a matter of fact, and he was doing his thing on the machine, and I wanted
Hang
to
on one
eat.
second. I want people to know that I'm seeing you and I see the way you're dressed and no one else can see it because they're listening. And you look like you're on vacation in Vegas. You've got this beautiful top on with it's like, I don't know, black sheer polka dots. You've got these beautiful glittery pants on. You've got pink fingernails, and one fingernail on each hand is all glitter, right? Like a silver glitter.
All right.
And you just look fantastic. You look like you're going to a show in Vegas. All right, but anyway, continue. Go ahead. And what were you saying about your husband? You're in Vegas.
We were in Vegas, and I wanted to eat. He didn't want to stop playing. So I went to eat, and I said, I don't want to eat by myself. And I saw a lady that was sitting by herself, and I asked her, could I join her? I don't like to eat by myself. I don't like to shop by myself. I like to have a person with me because I want to talk. I'm the person that talks in the movie. I'm the person that they say, shh, 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 shh. So I'm a talker, and I like to have the kids around me talking,
Yeah,
because if the more you talk, you can't have too many secrets because you're telling everything.
that's right. That is also true. Hmm. Yeah, it's so great to listen to you talk and listen to your wisdom and your kindness and your generosity. And I really want to thank you for your work and thank you for talking to me today.
My pleasure. And it's not my work, it's my pleasure. And I appreciate your kindness in allowing me to speak on the podcast today.
Thank you, Dorrie. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank the supremely talented Christina Apostolopoulos for her beautiful music, Eferisto. To hear more of her music, go to Spotify and Instagram at Christina Aposto. That's ChristianaAposto. I know you want to. Her stuff is really great. And thanks to my audio producer extraordinaire, Marcos Campito. I'm glad I found you. If you want to know more about the terrific organization in LA where Dorrie and I both volunteer, go to peaceforkids.org. And if you want to know more about becoming a foster parent, check out National Foster Parent Association at nfponline.org. There's also faithfosterfamilies.org, and adoptuskids.org. There's a ton of other information online as well. Just hunt around. And if you want to know more about becoming a CASA anywhere in the country, go to nationalcasagal.org, and in LA, casala.org. Thanks for listening.